All right, this is Drive Safe Dave, and you saw a little bit of that simulation activity there in the preemptive of this episode of the interview. And here it is. We have Tassie. Welcome to the show. Tassie, how are you doing this morning?
I am great. How are you?
Did you check out a little bit of that intro? Could you see that little bit of the intro of the
I
simulator?
did. That was great. That was
I know
great.
it's
I
kind
was
of
looking
cool.
back in scenarios.
Kind of cool. All right, so Tassie, why don't you tell us who you are and who you work for?
So I am Tassie Gaither, and I am the manager of sales and outreach at Reliant Workforce Solutions. And basically, what we do is we train commercial drivers of any sort, not to drive, but to make better decisions.
Nice. And that is all, and you do that through the simulators, right?
Well, it's a three-pronged approach. So we have the simulation, we have instructor-led, and then we have also computer-based e-learning.
Wow, and they can go ahead and get you and do that. And your deal is, do trucking companies hire you to come in and train their drivers, or do you go through schools to get your, how does that work?
So actually, we go to trucking companies. Schools, they sometimes will contact us. Generally, that's through some of the SDF grants that are available.
Right.
And we'll partner with different community colleges. But for the most part, it's trucking companies. We also have the Lone Star Learning Tour, which is where we bring our mobile simulator trailer. And every month we are parked in a different location in Texas. And we have about 16 slots available, and we train drivers that way. So for your smaller guys who can't bring all their drivers off the road at the same time, it helps them out.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, so tell us what your role there is at Reliant Workforce Solutions.
I do it all.
You do everything.
Not at all. I actually just contact the trucking companies. I am generally the first face that people see when they're talking about wanting training and wanting to go somewhere and get that training. They're contacting me, and I go through the sales process with them, go through the pricing, go through the structure of it, and then I get everything set up, and then they deal with Dwayne Baldwin, who is our lead instructor, and he gets them set up for the training.
Do you get to operate that cool machine, that cool simulator? Do you get to do any of that? Because I think that's almost like gaming stuff going on. Do you get to operate that at all?
You know what? I do, and it is amazing. It is kind of like gaming, just on a much larger, more developed scale. So when you look at the difference between what we're doing, as you see on the screen with Dwayne, we have a full seat base there, and it is a true Freightliner cockpit. The dashboard that you see can actually be changed into any type of truck. We have about 225 different combinations of vehicles that we can make, and that will give the realism more so than what your PlayStation or your Nintendo is, right? So it's a lot more than the American trucking game. It also will put them in real life situations most companies don't want to find themselves in, things like a steer tire blowout or ice or skidding or rain or snow. Just a lot of traffic, close quarter maneuvering. We can reenact those scenarios for the companies and put their drivers, let them train to the skill of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much here I want to talk about. You went over like nine. I mean, you're touching on so many cool. Yeah, you're like throwing it all out there. There's so many cool things I want to talk about. So first of all, let's talk about the driver itself. I did like what you said earlier. You're not actually teaching anybody to drive. You're just teaching them to drive safer, right? I mean, I thought that was cool how you approach that.
It's about making better decisions. Obviously, when there are accidents out on the road, it's because somebody made a bad decision. What we hope to do is reenact some of those situations and help them make better decisions, coach them into what the right decision would have been.
You know, I tell you what, you know, the average age of trucking has gone up, right, of the driver. It has increased as the years go by. The average age continues to rise as the years go by. It doesn't seem to be falling or getting better. And with that is the opportunity or the difficulty sometimes, that technology side, right? Sometimes we are a little hesitant to technology, aren't as prone to technology. You know, the new guys come in, heck, they're all about a game, right? They're all about sitting in front of the simulator. Do you how is the simulator teachable to anyone despite their knowledge of technology?
So we've been doing this a long time, and every time that we do a class, we do a survey with the drivers. And as you said, a lot of those drivers are the older drivers, and we have about a 99% acceptance rate in people saying that they are amazed with what they learned, what they will retain from this, not just how it was adaptive to them. But again, we're putting them in a truck cockpit. It's not anything they're not familiar with. They're going to sit down in an air seat. They're going to be holding onto a Freightliner steering wheel. They're going to be looking at a dashboard that they look at every day. And then they're going to look through the screen to the screen, which becomes the windshield, and they're going to drive a scenario. So we're not doing any major difficult technology with them. And it has such a realism. The seat moves with them. It feels like you're in the truck. The sounds around you sound like a truck. So it's nothing that they're not used to already.
Man, I like that. I can't wait to get the opportunity to get behind the wheel of one of these simulators. When you come up, when you come to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, let me know where you are. I'll be glad to ride over there and get some of that action. Drove for a very long time, by the way, Tassie. So I think this is fascinating. And let me tell you one of the reasons why. Not only new, but drivers that have been out there on the road. It's hard to simulate a jackknife, right? I mean, or it's hard to simulate a skid, right? Safely and knowing what to do. I mean, we can talk about it in the classroom, right? I could sit up there with a chalkboard and draw cool arrows and stuff like that, but you're offering real opportunities at solutions across the board and to teach what to do in these moments, right?
Exactly. So just going to that effect, we were actually told by a company not too long ago that steer tire blowout, that is something, there's no way to take them
No.
out in the truck on a road and say, hey, I'm going to put somebody over here with a gun or spike strip and we're going to blow your steer tire. You just would never want to do that. However, for those people who have been trained how to deal with a steer tire blowout, and everybody's pretty much first reaction is to get on the brake, slam on the brake, which is
Exactly.
the worst thing you can do in that situation. So we're able to simulate that. And we had a company, I guess it's been a few months back, that their driver went through that training, steer tire blowout. It was an invasive maneuvers, emergency maneuvers, some of the scenarios. And he ended up hitting a cow out on an FM road. And it took out his front tire. And he did not turn over the truck. He was able to come to a somewhat controlled stop. And he said, had he not had the training on the simulator, that he probably would have been dead.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think this opportunity to take these different scenarios, you've mentioned a couple of them. Hey, go through some of the, and I'm sitting here trying to think of them. There are so many different scenarios, even from something so simple as a child running out in front of you to, and which is not, I don't mean that as simple, but what I
No,
mean,
but you're right. Yeah.
yeah, and then, or, ice and snow and fog. There are so many crazy scenarios that you have an opportunity to demonstrate, right, and train in these different scenarios.
We do, and it can be anything from all of that's more highway driving and things that you would come into into situations with on the highway. But then we have close quarter maneuvering, which is what you're seeing now. It's going down an alley with a truck, whether it's a sanitation truck or whether it's a local delivery truck. Back alleys are places you have to go. Congested roads are where you have to go. We have backing scenarios. We have, like I said, the close quarter maneuvering scenarios. We have wheel drop-off scenarios. We have rollover prevention scenarios. So there's not anything that you can do in a truck that we can't actually simulate for you.
I think that's fantastic. The highway driving, and most people don't realize most of the deaths in the truck don't occur out there on the interstate. They occur on the rural highways or on the side roads in
Right.
more of this close maneuvering availability and more dangerous. You have way more intersections. You have stoplights. You have people coming out in the middle of a highway and people driving. I mean, these offer greater abilities to teach. You don't really need to teach somebody a lot about the interstate because it's going down the road. I mean, there are scenarios in which you can help facilitate, but I think it's great. This close maneuvering, it would be hard to get that in a classroom outside of a simulator, wouldn't it?
Well, again, it's not feasible for you to teach from a whiteboard or from even the cockpit of a truck, right? If you're driving, you don't want these things to happen. You don't want a child to step off the curb. You don't want a deer to run out in front of you. You don't want any of those things, but you do want that driver to know how to react to those things. And I know you were mentioning the older driver. They are usually great out on the road, but there is complacency. I think we all have that driving.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all been driving since we were 16, and so we get used to being behind the wheel. We know what we're doing. We're going on the same routes every day, day in, day out. That's when a lot of the bad decisions happen.
I agree with you 100%. You know, we get, you know, I'm a great driver. I know what I'm doing. And, you know, I think it's important to understand this offers you a chance to learn more, to hone your trade craft. You know, if you're a really good driver and you want to be a great driver, you got to work on it every day. And we always use this analogy, and I think this is fantastic. Tom Brady, you know, or you know, greatest quarterback of all time, you could probably argue. He watches tape. He watches tape of the other people. He watches tape of himself. He works. He trains every day to be better. And I think this is a great way to train to be better, no matter what your skill level is. Whether you're just beginning driver or you've been out there 30 years on the truck, this is a great way to create that cool. What's the teaching program like with the drivers? Regularity, time, different procedure. What is that like?
So what we do is on the Lone Star Learning Tour, we offer a 4-hour class. So when the mobile training center pulls up, we'll bring 4 students in to the mobile center, and we do everything right inside the trailer. And they'll spend equal amounts of time on instructor-led, then the computer-based training, and then the simulator time. And so we'll do 2 hours of defensive driving, just flat out defensive driving, because that's where most of the bad decisions happen, are on the simple stuff. And then the last 2 hours on the Lone Star Learning Tour, we actually put into emergency and evasive maneuvers, which are going to be things, the snow, the fog, things jumping out, close quarter maneuvering, backing, steer tire blowout. We incorporate all of these things into the second 2 hours that they get.
Yeah, and as we watch some of these videos, they're pretty incredible. And those close quarters kind of make me nervous, seeing all those people standing around and walking out of alleys, you know, and then, you know, there's some genuine hazards there. People walking around, you got to really pay attention. Cool stuff. How accessible can the simulator be for the drivers who work for a company that uses simulators? I mean, how is that possible? That you were...
And so it's about any safety, right? What is the company wanting their safety culture to look like? Are they wanting a true safety culture where they do go the extra mile for their drivers and want the training for their drivers? Or are they that company that, hey, watch this video or listen to this audio clip or read this, hey, be safe message? If they are a true safe company and want a full safety culture, then they'll allow the time and effort for their drivers to attend the training. The benefit of the Lone Star Learning Tour is that we are somewhere every month parked for 2 days, and there are 16 slots available. So somebody with 2 trucks, up to 200, up to 2,000, up to 20,000 trucks can find time to put a driver and a location to put a driver in the class.
You know, I think that's great. I do like the fact that you're moving around and make it available, because trucks are everywhere. Drivers are everywhere. And I know it's just a couple of guys at a time that may be able to get it. But what a great way to start now. What a great way to take the opportunity to go out there. And you know what? I may have a 500-man fleet, but let me get 2 guys in there and start the process and let them spread the word about what's going on and understand how important. What a great way to add to the safety culture, add to the ideology, and help at the same time open yourself up to wherever you are, right? You don't have to go to this one location and try to route the driver in there. Hey, I'm gonna have somebody in San Antonio. I'm gonna have trucks gonna be in San Antonio for a couple of days. Who you got in San Antonio? And I guarantee you, if you got a 500 truck operation, somebody's running through there.
Exactly. And the benefit of that is, one of the excuses we always hear, well, I can't pull my fleet off to go to a safety class. I can't pull my drivers. They need to be making revenue. Well, do they need to make revenue? Is it more important than the safety that they need? So by doing it this way in smaller batches, I think that overcomes that objection with the companies. I'm
Yeah,
not trying to pull your whole fleet off.
no, you know what, Tassie, you're squeezing Drive Safe Dave's heart here by saying things like that. When I don't care how many miles you run today, I care how many safe miles you run today, and I think
Exactly.
what you're talking about here is an opportunity that as we go out there and we talk about this and we talk about these rare chances to get a guy into a seat to help training to be just a little bit better, right? And if you can get a if you can continue to add to that skill level in your overall fleet over time, it's not. This isn't a 6 hour. Everybody look at the video and everybody's great, right?
Exactly.
That's not what we're talking about. This
Yeah.
isn't what we're talking about here. We're talking
No.
about an investment in the on-hand training to get better at what you already do.
Well, and that's the big thing. With adult education, it's been proven that hands-on is the best way to teach adults. Once we can hear something, we can see something, but once we actually do something, it
Right.
stays in the brain a lot longer.
Yeah.
So we're building that muscle memory for the drivers. And
Yeah.
again, for the smaller guy, the larger guy, this just really fits into the culture of what they're wanting to do because it does give every driver the ability to go through it.
What is the biggest difficulty that you see out there right now when it comes to simulation technology? What is the one area? What is the one thing that is the most difficult part?
Companies not investing in their drivers, not wanting to take the time, the effort, or spend the money for the training. And I get that revenue is huge, right?
Of
And
course,
it
it's
keeps the
huge.
cost up, and with the markets are down and the freight's down and the fuel's up, there's always an excuse not to train your drivers.
Right.
But at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, when you're looking at what brings in the revenue for you as a trucking company owner, it's the drivers. And if they don't make it to their delivery or pickup, or if they don't make it home every night, that's on you. That's on you for not doing what you should be doing as a company owner.
Yeah.
That's
I
how I feel.
No, I get it. You're preaching to the choir over here. Let me ask you a simple question, and this is just kind of off the deal. How more common are simulators becoming available to drivers out there in the marketplace? I mean, look, I know that they're in some of the training schools, a select few of the training schools, and you offer a select number, but overall, they're not that easy to get into. Probably, they're much
No.
easier. They're much
It's
easier.
easier to do a training than it is to buy a simulator, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to invest, and that's the problem with purchasing a simulator. That's great for larger companies that
Right.
have an extra 100, 150, 200,000 laying around,
Yeah.
and they don't want to invest it in their truck. Great, go buy
Right.
a simulator, right? For the guys who see investing that 100,000 somewhere else and making training still available, that's where we step into the market and say, okay, we've invested the money into the simulators, into the curriculum. Now we can bring it to you. And again, just sort of what you were talking about earlier with the actual training itself. It's not watching the video. It's not saying, okay, no matter what kind of day you had, you're gonna watch this video and everybody's gonna take something different away from it, right?
Right.
This is
Absolutely.
very standardized training. There are many, many statistics out there showing that the decrease in incidents by using a simulator-based training, it can be up to 50% decrease in incidents. So this is great for that one-off driver who might need a little extra, right? He,
Absolutely.
your insurance company's calling about him. But it's just as good for the brand new driver or the driver who's been driving for 15 years and has a little complacency issues. Pretty much everybody has cameras now, and everybody's seeing the problems that are out there.
Yeah,
We're
I
just
agree. I agree with you 100%. I mean, we're seeing what goes on there, and believe it or not, the drivers most of the time, I would say the majority of the time, the drivers are dealing with all the other issues out there, not just
passing it.
themselves. The hazards are immeasurable, and it is a dangerous
Right.
place. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of you or the company? Tell me how do we reach you?
So you can either go to our website, which is reliantworkforce.com. You can call me at 817-600-3174. I'm on LinkedIn. Um, I guess those are the basic ways you can get a hold of us. And if you contact TXTA, we are members of TXTA, and they can get in contact with us.
No, I do like it. So make sure, and it is ReliantWorkforce.com, correct? ReliantWorkforce.com, all one word, no space. ReliantWorkforce.com, just like it sounds, and you can reach out and they'll be able to get a contact to you. Hey, what are you doing? Sorry, we had a little bit of there. I said the magic word, and boy, they were trying to play it.
That was some great music.
Yeah, cool music. But hey, just so you know, and had Tassie, before you get out of here, I like every guest to state their name, who they work for, and to say that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that?
So I am Tassie Gaither. I am with Reliant Workforce Solutions, and you are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right. Thanks a lot. And I do appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on again soon to talk a little bit more about it. And thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye now. All right.